Welcome to Nature is Amazing. It goes without saying that dinosaurs and reptiles are pretty cool, and that's what we'll be taking a look at today. The Tyrannosaurus rex, also known as the T-Rex, was from the late era of the dinosaur kingdom known as the Cretaceous period, between 66 to 83 million years ago. T-Rex is also known as the king of the tyrant lizards. The Tyrannosaurus rex stood at 12 feet tall and was 40 feet long. It weighed between 5 to 8 tons. The T-Rex had a very stiff skull and jaw that was 4 feet long. It had 60 serrated teeth, and each one was 8 inches long. It even had vents in its head to cool its brain while it chomped down on its prey with that massive jaw. The T-Rex's jaw was powerful enough to crush bones and metal. The Tyrannosaurus did fight each other and had very short arms. They were also slow walkers of up to 12 miles per hour. The T-Rex had a long tail with over 40 vertebrae in it. The Tyrannosaurus had eyes the size of a softball and were like binoculars. Its bone structure and its ears were very much like an elephant's, allowing them to hear when its prey were making low-frequency noises. Unlike the movies which depict that the T-Rex had a larynx, it did not. It did not roar, but rather it hissed or rumbled. This dinosaur also had a keen sense of smell that many cats have today. The T-Rex had a life expectancy of up to 28 years and lived in Montana, Wyoming, Canada, South and North Dakota, in valleys and forests. The T-Rex would eat other T-Rexes or Triceratops. The Tyrannosaurus was a powerful dinosaur indeed. The Pteranodon lived during the Cretaceous period 90 to 100 million years ago. Pteron means wing, and anodon means toothless. The Pteranodon was not a bird or dinosaur, but actually one of the largest flying reptiles, which weighed no more than 25 pounds. It was closely related to dinosaurs. This flying reptile liked to fly over the ocean to catch its prey, which were fish. Its wings were 90 to 20 feet wide. The Pteranodon had pelican-like beaks with no teeth like modern birds do today. This flying reptile had a long, slender, and sharp beak. The upper jaw was long and curved upward. The lower jaw was shorter. It also had a short tail. The Pteranodon had a large hollow head, thin hind legs, and large eyes. Many of its bones had holes in it, showing that the respiratory tissue from its lungs melded into its bones, just like it does in birds. This allowed for ventilation into the blood to suppress the pressure from flying. It did not flap its wings heavily, it just soared. The male Pteranodon had vertical skulls with a forward projection. The female had smaller and rounded craniums. The Pteranodon was a very powerful flyer with an enormous breastbone, muscular arm bones, and strong shoulders. Once this flying reptile landed on water, it was very difficult to fly away from the water. It would push itself off the water, and then it jumped and flapped its wings to gather momentum and would fly away. The Pteranodon lived in Kansas, Nebraska, Alabama, and South Dakota. Triceratops means three-horned face. The word tri means three in Greek, keros means horn, and ops means face. The Triceratops lived during the Cretaceous period of 65 to 85 million years ago. The Triceratops had 3 horns and looked very similar to a rhinoceros. It was a very large dinosaur, standing at 9.5 feet tall and 30 feet long. It weighed a whopping 13 tons. The Triceratops had one of the largest skulls of all land animals, at 8 feet in length. This dinosaur also had a beak like a parrot, a large neck that reached 3 feet across, and 4 legs. It also had a very large circular nostrils. Its frontal bones would double up on the skull. The Triceratops used its horns to fight other Triceratops and to impress females. An enemy of the Triceratops was most likely the Tyrannosaurus. In the 20th century, there were Triceratops horns found with bite marks matching a Tyrannosaurus. The Triceratops lived in Montana, Colorado, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Alberta, Canada. Its diet consisted of plant matter. Spinosaurus means spined lizard. It lived in the Cretaceous period approximately 94 to 99 years ago. It was the first dinosaur to swim and spent much time in water. This dinosaur was actually the largest of all carnivorous dinosaurs, even larger than your T-Rex or Gigantosaurus. The Spinosaurus was 16 to 19 feet tall, 44 to 52 feet in length, and weighed 8 tons. It lived in North African countries, which include Niger, Egypt, Tunisia, and Morocco. One of its most unique features was the sail-like fin it had on its back. It was made of spines which extended from the top of the backbone. The fins were a little under 5 feet tall, making the Spinosaurus look even taller and more predatory. The Spinosaurus was an interesting dinosaur to look at. With a multicolored body, its face had red splotches on the tail and the sail also had blue circles. The Spinosaurus had short hind legs like the first kind of whales and other aquatic animals. Also, the Spinosaurus had heavy and compact bone structures like penguins, wide flat feet, and cone-like teeth to catch fish. The Iguanodon existed in the early Cretaceous period around 110 to 140 million years ago. Iguanodon means iguana, and don means teeth, because they had teeth like an iguana, which are large and close together. The Iguanodon was the second dinosaur to be discovered, falling behind the Megalosaurus. This dinosaur lived in Antarctica, North Africa, Mongolia, England, and Belgium. It had a long, slender skull and a beak covered in keratin. The Iguanodon walked on all 4 legs, and sometimes even just the 2 hind legs to reach tall plants or to run quicker. It stood at 6.5 feet tall, 30 feet long, and weighed 4 to 5 tons. The Iguanodon had long arms, almost as lengthy as the legs. The Iguanodon had 29 rigid teeth per side in the upper jaw and none in the front. On the lower jaw, it had 25 teeth per side, and the lower jaw was actually larger. It had a diet of ferns and brush. The bones in its skull and jaw were movable, allowing the Iguanodon to chew tough plants. It also had a large tongue. The Iguanodon had 5 fingers instead of the usual 4 fingers that the average iguanodontoid had. It had 3 of its fingers like hoof claws. It also had a large thumb spike, which was mistaken for a horn and was used to ward off predators. The Iguanodon also had wrist bones that fused together into one block. Pterodactyl is another flying reptile which lived 150 million years ago during the Jurassic period. Pterodactyl means winged finger in Greek. The pterodactyl was the first animal after insects to learn to flap its wings. The flying reptile lived in European and African wetland marshes on coastlines. It weighed 10 to 20 pounds. It had a long, slender skull and 90 narrow cone-like teeth, which were sharp and short. The pterodactyl also had a long beak. Its wings stretched to 3 feet. It could fly by using its elongated 4th finger, stretching to its wings and tailbone. Its claws were hooved. The pterodactyl also had long palm bones in its hands. The bones on the pterodactyl had lightweight hollow bones and a short tail. Its diet consisted of fish and small animals. The pterodactyl is not actually a dinosaur because they did not walk, but flew. Dilophosaurus means 2-crested lizard. It did have 2 crests on its head. It was 6 to 20 feet tall and weighed 900 pounds. This dinosaur was born in the early Jurassic period, roughly 190 million years ago. The Dilophosaurus lived near rivers in China and America. This 2-crested lizard had eyes not in the front but on the sides, making it have to rely on its sense of smell to catch its food. It was a very swift walker at 30 miles per hour, and it hung out in small groups. It moved on two legs. The Dilophosaurus had a large skull, small snout, and its upper jaw had a gap below the nostril. The Dilophosaurus had a lot of curved, sharp teeth and ate fish and small animals. This dinosaur had very strong, short forearms with 4 fingers. Its thumb was short and had a claw. Its fingers were longer, slender, and also had claws. The Dilophosaurus had powerful legs with enormous thigh bones, and its feet were stout with large claws on its 5 toes on each foot. Thanks for watching. Nature is amazing. I hope you liked watching these dinosaurs and reptiles as much as we like showing them. Please comment, like, and subscribe.